Thank you, Aspa. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. In the shadows, a deadly threat spreads, stealthy and relentless. Antimicrobial resistance silently undermines the modern medicine, and it is a threatening challenge to the decades of progress in medical field. As infections become increasingly untreatable, the question looms, will we unite to combat antimicrobial resistance, or will it claim more lives? The question is very tough, and the choice is yours. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk about this silent pandemic of antimicrobial resistance. Throughout the history, there has been a continuous battle between human beings and multitudes of organisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, that cause infections and diseases. But with the discovery of the penicillin by Sir Alexander Fleming and its subsequent development by Florey and Jain, we revolutionized the treatment of infections with antibiotics. The mortality rates from non-infectious diseases has remained fairly constant. Rather, sometimes it goes up, while dying from infectious diseases has decreased markedly. Although more recently, this has again started to increase. The red line in the graph shows the influenza epidemic in 1920, but you can see a constant decline in the infectious diseases. I did take this opportunity to welcome Professor Khalid Masood Gondal, Vice President of Quality Disease Services of Pakistan.
अब बाकी थोड़ा सा ऊपर से जाके करने अब इसको ना चले बार बार हिल रहा है कैमरा ये बड़ी गर्मी हो रहा है यार इसलिए
So, ladies and gentlemen, just imagine antibiotics which protect us from these deadly infections, they stop working. Because right now, we are standing on the edge of a world where antibiotics, our most trusted weapons, have become silent. Whether it's a scraped knee, a routine surgery, or a child's ear infection, this could turn deadly again. And this isn't fear-mongering, this is science. Antimicrobial resistance is a silent countdown, and the clock is ticking faster than we admit. Over the next 15 minutes or so, we'll uncover why this crisis is everyone's problem and how we can rewrite the ending. 1.14 million lives gone every year. Something's broken. Our system, our habits, they are lacking antibiotic good practices. And antibiotics are leaking like a seed. And microbes, they are learning, evolving, outsmarting us every single day. So here's the hard truth. We are our own worst enemies. Doctors, which are pressured to prescribe just in case. Farmers pumping antibiotics into healthy livestock to boost profits. You and me hoarding leftover pills for emergencies. We are handing microbes a playbook for resistance, and they are using it against us. This is not hypothetical, ladies and gentlemen. In India, resistant neonatal infections killed 60,000 babies in a year. In the US, supergonorrhea is now untreatable. Medicines as we know it, surgeries, chemotherapies, C-sections, all too risky without working antibiotics. And this is where the resistance crisis goes viral, literally. Crowded farms, stressed animals, antibiotics pumped into feed, not to treat diseases, but to prevent, to fatten livestock faster, to keep profits rolling. We're using medicines as a band-aid for a bullet injury, and microbes are taking notes of all this. So 70%, let the numbers sink in, 70% of the world's antibiotics aren't for you, your grandma, your children with pneumonia. They're for chickens, cows, pigs, animals. Every dose in that feed is a training session for bacteria, a chance to mutate, to armor up. And when these supercharged microbes leap to humans through meat, manure, or water, we are defenseless. So let's play a game. Guess how long it takes to develop one new antibiotic. Any guesses? 2 years, 5 years, maybe 7 years? Any guess? 10 years. So 10 years of trial and error, 10 years of dead ends, and 10 years of pouring billions into research, only to maybe get one drug that works. And 10 years to create a new antibiotic. Now guess, what would it cost? Somebody from the pharma industry? What would it cost to make one antibiotic? Any guess? $1.2 billion. That's the price tag for a new antibiotic. For context, developing a new Viagra costs half as much as, and a new iPhone, it's just a pocket change in front of it. So look closely. This isn't just money. It's a broken system. Pharma companies won't invest because antibiotics aren't profitable. You can take them for a week, not for a lifetime. And we want them used as little as possible to slow the resistance. So we are asking industry to burn 1.2 billion on a drug we hope that will stay on the shelf. It's like building a fire truck and praying it never sees a fire. So let's play another guessing game. You just spent 10 years and $1.2 billion on a breakthrough antibiotic. How long until bacteria outsmart it? How many years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10? What do you think? 10 years, okay. So in 2020, a new antibiotic called cephidromycin hit the market. By 2022, 2 years, resistance had already emerged. Microbes don't wait for permission. They adapt, they share, and they win. And this isn't an anomaly. Colistin, we all know, it's our last resort drug, which took decades to develop. Resistance, you know, only 2 years. Pig farms to hospitals. And now we are stuck in a twisted race where the finish line moves backwards every time we sprint. So here's the brutal math. For every 1 year we gain with a new drug, bacteria erases it in 1 month. We are just not losing, we're being outclassed by organisms who don't have brains, but they are winning. So let's rewind. The mid-20th century was a golden age of antibiotics. Penicillins, tetracyclines, miracle drugs were raining from the sky. But since 1987, a drought, a scientific Sahara, we found just one new class of antibiotic in 37 years. Just one. This is Texiobactin, which was discovered in 2015, buried in the soil microbes, a glimmer of hope. But here's the catch. It's still in trials. And even if it works, resistance will follow because microbes don't surrender. They evolve always. So very few antibiotics have been developed in the last 20 years. Most new antibiotics are variations of existing antibiotics, and only 5 novel classes have been developed in the last 20 years. And here's the harsh reality. Most new antibiotics aren't new at all. They are remixes, tweaks, slightly altered versions of the older drugs. Only a handful are true breakthrough. Why? Because innovation is risky, expensive, and bacteria, they've seen our tricks before. So in 2023, only 3 out of 43 antibiotics in development targeted the priority pathogens. And the rest, just like a Band-Aid on the bullets, we are stuck in this loop of diminishing returns, and microbes, they're laughing all the way to the gene banks. But what if we flipped the script? Imagine a world where infections rarely happen, where vaccines block the superbugs at the door, where hospitals are designed to repel pathogens, where farms don't breed resistance, where we stop infections before they start. So prevention sounds very simple, right? So build better hospitals, wash your hands, use clean needles, and here's the truth. Prevention is a privilege. Half of the world lives in the gleaming cities with UV sanitized operating rooms, but the other half, They are fighting infections with muddled water and open sewers. And AMR doesn't care about the borders. So let's name the barriers. No clean water, no toilets, no waste systems. These are the trenches of the AMR war. In the sub-Saharan Africa, 70% of the hospitals lack the clean water. In India's slums, one toilet serves 200 people. When human waste flows next to the playgrounds, antibiotics become life races and resistance spreads like floodwater. Last year, there was a cholera outbreak in Syrian refugees camp which turned deadly because Vibrio bacteria shrugged off the antibiotics. Because of overcrowding, dirty waters, and desperation, we have created a petri dish for resistance. And this is becoming global now. Think about the places we trust most: hospitals, which are places to heal us, schools, to protect our kids, offices, to keep us safe. But when hygiene fails, these places turn into factories for superbugs. An uncleaned hospital bed, a shared kitchen sponge, a classroom doorknob, tiny oversights with colossal consequences. Now let's talk about numbers. 3.85 billion people, half the world's population, enter the healthcare facilities each year, where basics like soap and water and sterile tools are missing altogether. In Gambia, 98% of the clinics lack hand washing stations. Same is the situation in Pakistan. In India, 70% of the hospital infections are resistant to antibiotics. Same is the situation in Pakistan. This isn't neglect, it's a catastrophic design. So 3.5 billion people, that's not a number, it's a tsunami, a tidal wave of human beings which are forced to live without toilets, sewers, or dignity. Half of our planet wakes up every day to a brutal choice: drink contaminated water or die of thirst. But this isn't just a tragedy, it's a global lab experiment for AMR. Because when our waste isn't treated, it becomes a genetic swap meet for microbes. And resistance genes from humans, feces, hospital runoff, and factory farms mixes freely. The hitch rides on the parasites, flies, and floods, and straight into the rivers and crops and your water supply. In 2023, scientists found a resistant gene for last resort antibiotics in India's Ganges River. In Brazil's favelas, the toddlers play in sewage laced with resistant E. coli. And in Detroit, aging pipes leak waste into the Great Lakes, the same lakes which supply water to 40 million people. So AMR is global. We've talked about the human-made failures and greed or inequality and short-term thinking, but there's another force which is turbocharging the antimicrobial resistance. One we can't ignore: the nature itself. Natural disasters aren't just about destroyed homes or lost lives. They are also accelerators of antimicrobial resistance. Hurricane, floods, hospitals, mixing sewage into medicines. Wildfires force mass evacuations, cramming refugees into camps ripe for outbreaks. And this happened in Pakistan as well. In 2023, Pakistan's flood submerged 1/3 of the country. Waterborne cholera met antibiotic shortage, and resistant genes spread like monsoon rains, and this became the talk of the town. And picture this every day. Millions of animals, cows, pigs, chickens, they cross borders in planes, ships, and trucks. But they're not traveling alone. They carry invisible stowaways, resistant genes, because when we trade livestock, we trade superbug. And this happened in Brazil in 2022, when salmonella-resistant strain became resistant to 6 antibiotics and reached the European supermarkets. And climate change? It's pouring gasoline on the fire. Rising temperatures stress livestock, making farmers pump more antibiotics into the feed. And this has become now another problem: climate change, which is causing trouble. Coming out to our beloved country, Pakistan, a country which is rich in antibiotic resistance, a country known to the world for XDR typhoid, reported with 100% resistance to salmonella from the Sindh province. And what are we doing about it? This is the question. We are still struggling for safe drinking water. In larger cities like Lahore and Hyderabad, what to talk about small towns and villages where there's hardly any attention paid to such important issues. And still, we have these 4 generations of grandfathers, son, daughter, and grandson, all Pakistanis, still fighting with diseases like tuberculosis, typhoid, malaria, diarrhea, and now all resistant. So this is a systemic review of antibiotic resistance in Pakistan in past decade, which was published in BMC Infectious Diseases, which showed that typhoid shows 100% resistance to quinolones and 93.7% resistance is shown to third-generation cephalosporins in bloodstream infections. Can it be worse? This is the question. And on top of that, then came the COVID era, where we prescribed antibiotics right, left, and center in the viral infection, coronavirus infectious disease, abuse, misuse, overuse, further worsening the current AMR situation. So let's have a look at the global situation. The use of antibiotics globally, while there are 65% increase in the global antibiotic consumption, we've seen that only 6% is from the high-income countries, and 114% is from the low and the middle-income countries. And Pakistan contributes to 65% increase in defined daily doses of antibiotics. So there's a tsunami of antimicrobial resistance in Pakistan with rupees 120 billion worth antibiotics reported to be used in 2021, but the situation isn't getting better. The problem is that it is getting worse. In 2023, we jumped from 120 billion to 126 billion and became the 3rd largest consumer after China and India. A significant portion of these antibiotics are dispensed without prescription, with one study showing that 96.9% of pharmacies in the Punjab region are doing so. This widespread use, coupled with inadequate infection control practices, contributes to the rising burden of antimicrobial resistance in Pakistan, our beloved country. And look at the situation of resistance to major pathogens in our country reported in literature. Look at the Staph aureus, resistant to all available antibiotics. Klebsiella, no different. And similar is the situation with the enterococci and Proteus. So where are we heading to? The question arises, what action needs to be done now? Or should we wait for 10 million deaths by 2050? Costing us trillions of dollars globally? Is there a solution? And the solution is there, ladies and gentlemen. It is the antibiotic stewardship, which is the real solution to AMR. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, it is the effort to measure and improve how antibiotics are prescribed by clinicians and are used by patients. World Health Organization defines this as a coherent set of actions which promotes the responsible use of antimicrobials. And the emerging threat of antibiotic resistance is growing exponentially, and antibiotic stewardship programs are the cornerstone to fight against this global threat. The role of antimicrobial stewardship is to help us, physicians, surgeons, residents, and advanced practitioners find the balance between the immediate need of a patient and the future needs of the patient and everyone else. Antimicrobial stewardship is about giving right antibiotic to the right patient at the right time, in the right dose, through the right route, and for the right duration. And only this will turn things right. And we have to do something now. So as a healthcare professional, we all need to play our part, turning the tide of antimicrobial resistance through patient awareness by implementing infection control practices. Through clinical diagnosis and risk stratification of patients, we should practice diagnostic stewardship, which helps in early and accurate diagnosis. And it's crucial that we start managing our patients guided by the microbiological data and not blindly. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll conclude my talk here by saying that we must act now. Let's start today, because knowing is not enough. We must apply, and willing is not enough. We must do it. Thank you very much for your attention.